Going out, and that means we need to start. My name is Stephen Frost. I'm the design producer on Wildstar. I'm also the dev speak voice, if you guys have seen those videos.
Frost, do the voice.
I'm doing the voice. There it is. Very good. Let's get started with an introduction here. Down on the end here, we have Michael Donatelli. He is the design director on Wildstar.
Hello.
And he's sitting in front of apparently some disco pubic hair. I don't know what that is. But yeah. All right. Cool. We got Chris Handel here. He's our cinematics bro. He's going to be running through the game with us. Is that the official title? Cinematics bro?
Cinematics Pro, yeah.
Cinematics bro. Cool. We have Matt McCarskey, our creative/art director. We have Troy Hewitt, our community director. Seth Kendall, animator, cinematics guru, etc. And Chad Moore, our lead narrative designer.
Hello, everybody.
Yes. Yes. All right, so what we're going to do today is run through a couple of housing maps, and we're also going to show off a lot of the systems that kind of interlock in between the housing. So what we're going to do is try to get that on screen here. We got Chris and Seth on two accounts, and you'll see both of them running around. We're going to show off all the systems, go a little bit more in depth into that, and afterwards we'll take some Q&A, and you guys can ask literally anything, and we'll try not to avoid your question. So, yeah, let's go live. We'll do it live! All right. So, also we're going to try to not cuss. It's super hard for us, but we're going to try. All right, so we're going to start here in the overworld. We're actually in a dungeon right now. This is the ruins of Calvareth. We're not going to run through the dungeon because there's one dude and we get steamrolled, so we're not going to do that. But we are going to go to our house. So you'll notice there's a little button on your action bar there, and you can just go directly to your house at any point in time. And what's cool too is I can invite friends and or neighbors, as we call it, and they can go to our house at any time as well. So we're going to load in. And blammo. It's not gaudy at all. So what we're going to do first is kind of meander into the house here. But before we do that, let's show off some of this cool stuff we just put in. We can change the environment now in the housing stuff. So if we want to have snow zone or fireworks or underwater looking stuff, space. So we're a space game. We've got all sorts of fun stuff that you can do and kind of tune. Yeah, it's good times. So when we were doing this stuff, Mr. McCarskey, what was the thought process behind what these environments would be?
Really just to give the player a ton of variety and also a ton of fun. You know, like we have a dedicated housing team and we just kind of let them go crazy and do whatever they want. And, you know, you sit down and all of a sudden you have a rainbow in the sky and you know, like we use a lot of stuff from environments that we have, like outer space and everything. We really kind of have a philosophy that if people dig it and it's fun, then why not do it, especially with housing.
Cool. So we just wandered into a tornado that we put on the front lawn. So what we're going to do now is actually go inside the house real quick. We'll do a plot tour here in a minute, but we'll go inside the house. We have an Orin house. It's kind of nature themed. Chad, can you kind of go into what the deal is with the Lauren? The Lauren.
Yeah, so for those of you that follow lore, which I'm sure is every single one of you in this room, the Orin are sort of our tree hugger race. You know, they're sort of in tune with nature. They like things like trees, and they have relationships with them. And
whoa, not that kind of relationship.
Yeah. Relationships.
Yeah, but anyway, so what you'll notice, right, as you go through the Orin houses, a lot of those themes, those nature themes, are things that you can actually pick. So if you're playing an Orin and you want to have your house reflect, you know, your Orin-ness, then you can absolutely do that.
Thank you, sir. So let's show off a couple things. We showed a little bit of this off in the dev speak for housing, but we can pretty much freeform place anything in here. So if we want to move stuff around, we can do that. And if I invite neighbors in here, I can give them the access to move stuff around in here as well. And Troy, why don't you talk a little bit about how this has been going over in beta?
Well, so the key with housing is that
we really wanted to give you the opportunity to feel like you owned a piece of the world, owned a piece of Wildstar. So what we did is a housing contest, and we had disco dance clubs, we had torture chambers, we had marriage chapels, we had, you name it, and we had it. The flexibility the system gives you is pretty phenomenal. Now, if you take a look here, I think we've got a jump puzzle that we put together. Is that true? Am I lying?
No, you're not lying. So we can, you can make a jump puzzle out of the stuff in the environment, and some of our beta testers have done similar things.
They have, yeah.
So you can kind of go up here.
And the key being, you're able to take bits and pieces that are available to you and customize your home in any way possible. We had people that spent 20 some odd hours straight decorating their homes. A little crack addict-y, but they had a really good time.
So, and what's great too is the more crap you have in your house, the more rest XP you get when you log out inside your house. So it kind of gives you this incentive to kind of do that stuff. And Mike, I was kind of curious. So we have Elder Game in our game, right, and housing. How does that equate to stuff like Elder Gems in here?
Well, when you hit a cap level, we want you to enjoy the game, but we want to make sure we put a focus on the Elder Game, right? The end game isn't the end for us, it's the Elder Game for a reason, because we're going to continue putting out content, tons and tons of content when you hit cap. And when you hit cap, you cease to gain XP, but your XP is pretty much converted into these Elder Points, which are converted to Elder Gems. Then you can buy all kinds of crazy housing things, upgrades to your character, your abilities, your mounts, everything. So Elder Gems are the place it's the new currency.
Indeed. So it gives you something to do, and there's also housing. If you have more of that stuff, you'll get Elder Gems faster.
Yep.
Super useful. So we've been putting stuff around. You saw the trimming we were kind of changing. The ceilings we could update. The floor we could change, that sort of stuff. We can in fact change the lighting in here too if we want to.
One of the things I think we need to point out that you're seeing partially part of it is that every time they play something, it has collision. So you are placing collision. That's how they make the jump puzzle. We made a person make an entire second floor of their house out of bookshelves.
Yeah.
Looked pretty good.
And the lighting is also, you notice he just kind of changed that up so it looks like we're inside of an oven or something. But
It's moody.
Yeah, it's moody, sure. The lights on the wall also will be affected by that. So we can change those lights and you'll see that they are dynamically lit. So let's go outside and check out some stuff real quick here too. So, we came in, you saw that crazy stuff on our lawn here. Let's go bit by bit here and we'll check this out. So, this is our crafting area. We've just made our own, basically, so you don't have to go to like a capital city or something like that if you don't want to. Just go in right there. And over here we have this crazy tornado thing here, which will give you a challenge once you get one of those. Mike, can you go into what challenges are, in case people don't know?
Okay, a challenge is just something, you'll be going through the game, you'll be doing quest content, path content, public events and whatnot, and if you're doing something, we tend to put these challenges in that reinforce the act you're doing. Right now, he's jumping up through this tornado and grabbing crystals. He would get a challenge to grab X number of crystals in a period of time. I don't know why that's not working right now, but kind of curious.
Oh, because I already did it earlier today.
All right, he's already won. But
I was rehearsing, I'm sorry.
And then you get depending on how well you do, depending on what tier you get, bronze, silver, or gold, you get a percentage chance greater to get a really cool item, and we let you spin a wheel, and super cool. If he had actually reset it or something, we could have shown you, but it's totally cool.
So we're also wandering over here. This is a tower defense game with Osen. So we have different action bar items there, so we can hit those and try to stop the guys from getting up this tower. Chad, Osen. I call him Brosen. What are Osen, man?
So Osen are this race that is indigenous to Nexus. They're actually were created by the Elden, and they're this massive barbarian race that the Elden created in order to be their sort of military. They were going to protect them. But they did such a good job in creating them that the Osen actually rebelled, and so the Elden had to destroy their civilization and sort of scattered them all across the planet's surface. So when you come to the game and you run across them, they're sort of rebuilding their civilization, and obviously they're probably not too happy about you being here and trying to take over their stuff. So you fight these guys quite a bit as you play through the game.
Seth, you're doing much better than you did during rehearsal.
So yeah, there's the challenge. Actually, you can see it on the upper right-hand corner. You know, it's counting down if you can finish this effectively. So instead of watching this whole thing, what we'll do is meander off onto the next one and fail our challenge here. But we have things also that are not necessarily, you know, system affecting. We have things like Ferris wheels, which are just funsies. But these are also, if you're like a role player, these are perfect for you. So we have the ability to change stuff too on the fly. So if we want to take out our Ferris wheel, we can put something else in. And I'm excited to see what you're putting in because I have no idea.
He's lying.
Oh, all right, I'm lying. No, actually, there's this is a Protostar telegraph practice pad. So this is pretty sweet. Oh, we just got an invite from Chris there. So we can go up here. Mike, can you talk about telegraphs in the game and what importance they have really with Wildstar?
So right at the beginning, we decided that target combat was just not for us, so we kind of went with a more action combat style. Telegraphs really reinforce that. You can, if you're seeing right now, if he gets burned, he'll die. So it's a little more exciting than the targeting.
So yeah, this is actually great training for some of the dungeons because our dungeons are quite frenetic. Yeah. It's a little crazy.
It just adds a different kind of a feel to combat, right? So when you go into, you're not just running up to some trash monster on a road somewhere. That guy's going to have telegraphs. He's going to have special abilities. We call them SREs, where they just, they might disarm you, knock a weapon out of your hand, and throw a minefield out there. And every minefield has a telegraph around it. So we have a lot, we have a lot of varied telegraphs, and we're adding more all the time.
So yeah, this is actually really good training. So this is actually really good training for the dungeon. But and then we also have stuff on here that it's just like you can create a shrine to yourself or have a naked dude up there. Whatever, whatever you're into, we're not judging. So you can do that. We also have a bank vault here, which is pretty sweet. So Karski, when you're planning these out, because we have like a system function for these things, right? But for like a bank, we're like, we need a bank. How do you guys kind of visualize that or think of these things?
Well,
he thinks of money.
Well, yeah, we think, what would a bank look like?
Well, okay.
You're getting a real behind-the-scenes look at how things work at Wildstar.
It's like I said, our housing team's kind of special in that we're a bit more hands-off with them. We picked like kind of our most passionate people when it comes to housing, and we said, hey, do you want to do this for the entire game? And they're like, sure thing. And so we just say, be creative, take all the assets in the game and make whatever you can make, and work with the design team, and they come up with a bunch of crazy stuff, and 99% of the time, like, I don't have to say no to any of it.
So yeah, and we have stuff that starts challenges that allows us to go to other areas of the world. There's also dynamic events and things like that. We have one thing that there's like a marauder housing plot that lands next to yours, and you can actually board that and fight those guys. And got loads of stuff. But let's check out another housing plot just for giggles and bad words.
I never agreed to that, by the way.
The no cussing thing?
The no cussing thing.
All right, yeah, he didn't agree to it. I'm going to try not to. So right now what we're going to do is go over to Chris's house, who has another setup of things. So he's got a different type of house. This is a human medium-sized house, roughly. And something we didn't show, actually, was you can decorate the outside of the house as well and put things on it and add all that fun stuff.
And actually, something that we just implemented was freeform placement on the exterior. So now, like the interior, you could place things wherever you want in the exterior.
That's awesome. Cool. So in here, you notice Chris's house, way different. He has his Protostar wallpaper there. So we'll use an example here of just how you can create your own house. So we can get into the meat and potatoes of these systems. So we can pull up stuff, By the way, you can get these things through buying them at a vendor or rep vendor or drops in the
We
world.
we have drops in the world. Can you put you put a head over there on the wall. There's all kinds of monsters. You can kill them and they'll drop their head and you can mount them on the wall. It's through quests, through content, through paths. It's pretty much spread throughout the world. So, it's kind of a mini game in itself to collect all the things and put in your house. And you can make it gargantuan and
Yeah, you can mess with the scale. We can put him on the ceiling upside down if we wanted to.
I doubt he was actually this scary when he killed him, but
It was an epic fight, I'm sure.
So yeah, you'll also notice that Seth is playing a Mordash character. The Mordash were a race that we just announced recently. They're kind of, I don't know, how would you describe them? They're, I guess, like
Space zombies.
space zombies.
Yeah, space zombies, sure.
Sure. All right.
is that
Once the
in-
most beautiful race in the universe.
Hey, Troy, good lore. I like that.
is that the deep dive on the Mordash?
The lore bomb.
It's the deep dive on Mordash.
They're pretty.
So yeah, we're gonna log back in and go check out Chris's stuff. So Chad, actually, yeah, can you go into the Mordash a little bit? What's their deal?
So the Mordish.
So we can show that off. We also have a little arena here where we can do some dueling if we wanted to. So, Mike, PvP. How would you say that our PvP is different from like other MMOs that have been in the game, so to speak?
Well, the action combat right there, you're going to get a completely different feel to the combat. We have the breakout gameplay where you're going to get stunned. Nobody likes to get stunned and stand around and be stunned while someone beats on them. So we have the breakout gameplay where you can actually, they can disarm you and you have to run and dodge and roll to pick up your weapon. You can break stuns and mez and stuff like that by doing a CSI quick time mini game. So I think that's a pretty big deal for us in the combat arena.
Yeah. So we're also in a Moody fighting pit, if I'm correct, right? Or is this a Draken one? What's the Moody one?
I think it's a moody one.
Yeah. Moody's. Matt, what's the deal with those guys?
They're like voodoo men from the moon or something like that. They're like voodoo men from outer space.
Voodoo men from outer space. So yeah, we're having to fight those guys in Daradoon and in a couple other.
You see them all around everywhere.
That's $10 right there. You forfeit.
He didn't want to die. So another pretty sweet thing, and perhaps you can talk about this a little bit, Troy. We have these things called game jams. This is where we made one of these. Can you tell us what a game jam is?
Well, so here's what goes on. During the week, the team works really, really hard, and we're working overtime right now to get the game out the door.
Would you say that we work hard for the money?
So hard for it, honey.
Yeah.
That was not in rehearsal. But anyway, so there's some folks who are so excited about housing and other aspects of the game as well. As what they did is they got together over the weekend and just decided to knock out some pretty fun and interesting, what we'll call plugs for housing, but then really it kind of touched on all the features. We rolled those out into beta and people absolutely loved them. It was so much fun to give our dev team the opportunity to be super creative without a lot of restriction because they're coming in on their own time to do this stuff. That it really just kind of invigorated the team and really injected a lot of creativity into the things you're seeing now.
So once again, we're fighting some Osin here, and there are different kinds of these housing dungeons. What are these called again, Mike? These are
The housing dungeons, we call them expeditions. They scale. You can bring 5 of your friends in here and just, go through like a little dungeon for some loot. I'm trying to remember exactly how, well, I don't think anyone really cares how many we're going to have at launch. We're going to have a bunch. And
Just lie.
just this one. And it's a lot of fun. And like I said, again, the creatures scale, so it's...
yeah. Can you go into that a little bit? Like, what does scaling mean for the average player?
Well, we have what we call in the game adaptive creatures. That way we can have big world bosses that anybody, 100 people could go and fight, and it actually will adapt to that, the players and their contribution, and it makes for a pretty interesting fight. We do the same thing in here. We can have adaptive creatures. We have, which actually ties pretty well into what we have as far as what we call mentoring. So that you as a player who might be level 50 and your friend comes in at level 10 and you're like, hey, let's hang out. You can actually mentor down and help him. You get bonuses to Elder Gems. You get the same XP you would get at Cap, which gets you even more Elder Gems. So we try to put a lot of features in that will encourage players to play together.
Right, and I think that's the cool thing about housing. It's not just about decorating your house or anything like that, which is super involved anyway. But it's also got all these other cool systems involved with it.
No, I've actually said you could take housing and just unattach from the game. It could be its own game. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet. So in this, we're also doing a public event. So what's the difference between a public event and a quest?
Well, the quest is, we like familiarity, so it's, we like quests the way they are, but, the public events allow us to do a lot of things where it's based on your contribution, and, how well you do is what kind of rewards you get at the end. You get graded on it, and it allows us to, again, kind of a low impact, encouraging people to play together. You're not competing against someone else. Everyone's going to get something.
Sure. So one of the things we say often in the dev speaks is the devs are listening on stuff. And so what we have done too is kind of taken this initiative to take a lot of player feedback. And one of the things that we're doing is an XP bar instead of like the 1 out of 10 thing. Mike, can you talk a little bit further about that and what that means?
So yeah, we got a lot of feedback from players about the 0 of 12, kill 12 things, and people wanted to help other people, not necessarily group with them, but wanted to be able to help people and help each other and share credit. So we put in an XP bar so that when you kill creatures, you collect things, there's an amount of XP you share. So if you and somebody else are working together, you both get some of that, and it's based on the XP. So if you want to go after tougher monsters, you can actually complete the quest faster. If you want to kind of hang on the edge and pick off the low creatures, then you can play the way you want to play.
Indeed. So as part of this public event, we're having to kill baddies here. This is one of our boss guys here. That's pretty insane. So once we get through here, we'll start on the some of the other stuff for housing. But I think there's a lot of stuff we can show in the open world as well. But I also want to open up a lot of this to questions. Anybody interested in asking any questions?
Oh, we got a few.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to start working my way back. All right. Go ahead.
Sure. Did you say topless dancing?
Bear dancing.
Bear dancing. I'm glad you clarified.
I'm really interested in the shooter race, so I was wondering, can I blow up my friends during the race?
Blow them up.
That's a Mike question.
During a raid?
During a raid, can you blow up your friends?
He's basically a jerk, and he wants to.
Think hard on this one, okay? This
In a loving
You had
way,
me with the
sure.
topless thing, but this is throwing me for a loop.
Hey, Mike, lore-wise, that's approved, okay?
Okay, thanks.
Done and done. We'll have a game jam on that this weekend and get back to you.
Yeah. I'm making a note of that aberrant behavior right now.
So I don't think you could blow people up is the answer to that. My apologies. Yes.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering about the cred thing. Are you guys going to do a pack shop, or is that just going to be for the subscription?
So we're not talking a lot about what our plans are related to that. We are, of course, exploring all our opportunities and all the things that we want to do to appeal to different kinds of gamers. And so as we get a clearer perspective on that, we'll definitely share more information. But did you have questions about cred specifically, or
No, that was pretty much it.
what'd you think of cred? You like the idea?
For the subscription thing, I like it.
Yeah.
I don't really like it if you're going to do a subscription and a cash shop. It's kind of a little too much.
Gotcha.
So if you're going to do like pay to, or, buy it and then have a cash shop.
Yeah. We're not big fans of pay to win, so.
Well, I mean, if you just had like cosmetic things and maybe like XP stuff,
Yeah.
a lot of people still really like that.
Yeah, nice.
120,000%, we are not pay to win ever. That blows. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, got a microphone?
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, we're getting a microphone. So
Yeah, so you wanna
guys
line
can
up
do that.
behind
Yeah, if
here
you want to
and-
get a conga line for me.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes, sure.
What are your long-term plans for PvP? Are you thinking about arenas and battleground type situations, or what would you consider to be really integral to the combat systems you have?
Most definitely, Mike.
Yes.
wants to take
We are, for launch, we're going to have a suite of battlegrounds, arenas. We have the 40-man versus 40-man war plots, which kind of build it. It's just like an enormous housing plot that you build all these crazy defenses, and it's absolutely,
It's basically violent housing is the way I describe it,
yeah.
more or less.
I'm now trying to watch my language, and it's just not.
Dude, try. I mean, really try. All right, sir.
So, one of my favorite things about MMOs is GM presence and having GMs in the game to help players, if needed, if they're having a problem. Even more, EverQuest always had GM ran events. Is there anything that's going to be like that in Wildstar?
What do you guys think of live events like that? Is that something you would enjoy?
Yes.
Live events, my background actually is running live events for games. It was far back as Ultima Online. Anyone play that game? Yeah. So we're really keen to run those kinds of events and support those kind of events. The challenge is scaling, because we know that our game is going to be a multi-billion-dollar success, and so we want to be able to provide...
Right?
Right? We want to be able to provide events that really allow players to get into the story and enjoy it, much like if anybody had played The Matrix Online, they had great live events. I ran them. So we want to provide that, but it's just a question of how do we scale it and how do we support it across all those servers, and we're a global game, and so we want to make sure that the people in Europe are having as much fun as the people in North America. So definitely something that we're thinking of. We're as excited about the possibility as you are. We just need to make sure we do it right.
Thank you.
As far as things you can build in construction, I've seen a lot of buildings, and then I also saw the motorcycle in the one video. Is there going to be other stuff like hang gliders and airplanes and other toys?
So there is something we cannot talk about right now. My goal is that someone will shit their pants with how awesome it is.
Hey!
All right.
That's my one. That's my one.
The good news is this is broadcasting live. So
Yes. I'm sorry, America.
I hope your mom's watching.
There's some. I don't know when we're going to announce it, but it's legit. And you can answer this more than I can. But no. Marketing will kill us. Sorry.
Do you think emphasizing on all these really interesting and private player-owned houses and stuff actually detracts from a world of existing with other players and stuff like that?
It's a great question. I don't think it does personally, and I'd like to hear from some of the other panelists, because we've designed housing so that it is sort of a microcosm of what you can experience in the game, but the activities you take part in with your guild, your group, as I slap the microphone, and or friends that you meet are definitely rewarding and encouraging you to kind of step out of your home. We want you to log out and log in at your home, but we want you to go explore the world and enjoy that with friends that you meet in game.
Well, that's what we did. Pretty much housing ties into all the other systems. You're encouraged to go through the world and collect all these great things to put in your house. But you have to keep in mind that we wanted to focus on I guess you'd say the solo housing experience first, get that nailed down, which I think we have done in spades. So, but just how to say this without saying it, just rest assured we have plans to make this more of a,
Public.
Yeah.
So housing is actually designed by a team of people, the social systems team, and so they really take that stuff into account. We don't want everyone just hanging out on their housing plot and not talking to other people. It's an MMO after all.
Yeah, and even though we're focusing on housing in today's demonstration, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. Like, there's a whole nother game that you could play, and if that's not your thing, then that's not your thing. We're not forcing it down anybody's throat.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, two questions, one silly, one more serious. Silly question, I saw you guys had a lovely rainbow out there on the housing plot. Any chance of getting a sonic rain boom?
What was that?
Sonic ring boom?
Yes.
Rain boom? Yeah, I think Capcom would sue us. I don't know if we can do that. Sorry there.
Serious question now. What kind of UI customization, modification are you guys going to have available?
Oh, I'm going to tackle that one.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, please.
Dude. We've actually, one of our engineers, John Wiesman, who's probably watching. Hi, John. Dark Rouse Hour. John actually created a series of programs that allow people to, through Lua programming, create UI add-ons. We're going to really support that. So, I want to make a distinction, though. When we say we're going to support it, we are going to support it. The people that participate in our add-on development program actually get the same power, the same influence over UI design as our engineers do. So we actually are giving those tools to you, and we're creating via Houston, which is the name of the program, an opportunity for people to learn it so that it's an easier way to kind of dive into the whole world of UI add-ons. So we're going to totally support it. We're going to find ways to reward players if they have created an add-on that we decide that we want to steal. We're going to work with them to make sure that they get the credit and some remuneration for their contributions. It's really a crucial part of what we're doing, and we really, really want to support that.
Thanks.
And also, Chris, if you could talk a little bit about what you've been working on with John about that UI stuff.
Yeah, so we actually use our system to do our machinima tool internally. We built it using the Lua system that we have because there's total peer-level functionality, which means I didn't have to go to John and be like, hey, could you open this thing up? It's like, it's there. I just started working with it. And obviously we have things inside that aren't available, like, I'm going to turn off terrain, and then, can't do that in-game. Probably not. Sorry. So, but I basically learned Lua to be able to build all these things, and that's what we use for all of our Wildstar clicks, for our dev speaks. All of us are using that tool. So when he says that it's a powerful system that you're going to be able to do all that, it's totally true. And we're hoping to be supporting that with videos and teaching people how to use our system, how to modify the existing UI and change what's already there, and then work with that to become better contributors to that community.
So I wanted to underscore our commitment to the UI add-on stuff, not to put too fine a point on it, but we actually were so committed to that idea that we actually contacted our friends over at Curse, identified the top UI add-on developers, flew them into our studio, had them sit down and actually muck around with the systems and to tell us what works and what doesn't. What was awesome is they grabbed Houston and Apollo, the two tools that John created, and said, we don't really need those. That'll be great for the people who want to learn. But then they took it and just ran with it. They've created some pretty fundamentally game-changing add-ons that have been pretty phenomenal. So, like I said, we're very committed to that.
Are you guys familiar with LUI, the add-on suite? That guy's making it for Wildstar now.
Yep.
Sweet.
We like him.
Hi. I'm here representing a very large multi-game guild, Mog Nation.
Yeah.
And I know you guys have a lot of guild tools that you'll be talking about later this year, things in game. But one thing I wanted to ask about was what sort of tools are you going to have in place for a guild to either be assigned to a server or make sure that they all land in the same place before launch?
So we're working on that right now. It's really important to us that we find a way to connect friends and frenemies on a server so that they can actually work and live and fight together. We're hoping that we can manage that through a web interface. We've just gotten down to business and hiring some very talented web people who are looking into that kind of resource. We think it's an important part of kicking off a game and making sure that everybody knows where their friends are. So it's definitely in discussion.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Morning.
Hey.
So, to reference another company, BioWare recently came out and said that when they launched their game.
Who?
They thought they had about 4 or 5 months of content at launch. They had about 4 or 5 days.
Sure.
You guys, in a pretty recent article, have said that you are looking at about 150 hours of gameplay, of game time between start and level cap. What is your expectation on that in terms of real time?
My expectation is people will level through the content as fast as, to say that there's an amount of hours, that's kind of an average, but what I've said before, and I'll say it again, is I don't care if you finish the game in 2 weeks. Or it's not about, it's a super fun game. We love it to death, and you're going to have a good time. But we didn't build it like that. The worst possible way you can build a game is by doing that, by saying we have to have 300 hours of gameplay because we expect to make X amount of money, and that's not what we did.
Specifically, I'm looking at your launch schedule post, your content schedule post-launch, like first 100 days.
So if you blow through the game, which, I know people will, and we didn't put any kind of throttle in there to try to stop you, we want you to because the Elder game is, again, our thing, right? When you get to cap, that's when you really find out what happened. Like, you learn all kinds of cool stories as you go through the game, but that's all supporting stuff. When you get to cap, that's when you start learning what really happened on the planet. We have solo world story instances, PvE, entire zones worth of PvE content for groups and solo players. We have the 40v40 raid stuff where, again, you're encouraged to go, the 40v40 PvP raids that where you're encouraged to go out in the world, get things like you can go on a dungeon raid, get a drop, and that you can plug into your PvP housing and have that boss monster actually fight for your side in the 40v40 map. Like, it's pretty insane, and we've been focusing a lot on that, and even our post-launch schedule is aggressive to the point of abusive to the developers.
But I think that is like a major tenet of our development. It is like we need to have Elder Game content so that it's not like I just blew through it, nothing to do. I think the raids are going to be something that will take up a lot of your time. Like
Elder Game content is really important, but we are planning on regular updates, and I really want to share more, but I can't. But we're, as many of you, if you've been following us for some time, Jeremy Gaffney, who is our executive producer, talked a lot about his commitment to making sure that we're rolling out content on a 28-day or shorter kind of process. And so we're working that out right now, and we've got an awesome live team that is trying to figure out through ops and development how to make sure that we're rolling out new content as well as providing Elder Game experiences.
And I mean, really, MMOs are not like, it's not a game, it's like 40 different games that you have to make, right? So housing has to be awesome and has to have Elder Game content, and raids have to be awesome in PvP and PvE, and all these things have to have something for you to do at those ends. So we're definitely focusing on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey guys, firstly, loving the look of the game. I've got a lot of people back home that are really dying to hear something about this. So I come from a competitive WoW background, and one of the things that really frustrated me with that was how hard it was to kind of organize any form of tournament because of the client, and if it was in the pro circuit, it was just, it was a nightmare to set things up. So I was wondering kind of what, if you guys have plans in the way of competitive play or a spectator client or things along those lines?
So spectator, we won't likely have in at launch. It's something that we want to get in, and we're working towards it. But the likelihood is, we want to make this game as polished and awesome as possible, as opposed to have all the things be mediocre, right? So we're trying to make that as awesome as we can. But I know that we want to have raid competition stuff where, week to week we kind of measure whether it's speed that you do runs through and things like that.
Yeah.
Mike can talk a little bit more about that as well.
Yeah, we're looking at the, again, a web interface where you can turn around and have, so we could show who is world first, server first, and then a lot of the dungeons and raid stuff have public event, I would say, like optional objectives, and all those things make it harder. And again, it's with the idea in mind that we can always, you could always go to the website and look at and see who's the top dog, and I think that's going to fit pretty much the bill for raiding, but we're also going to have tournament play for PvP. We have a lot of stuff planned for that.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I have a question about cred. I think it's a really, really interesting system. I think the idea of being able to pay how you want to pay and play how you want to play is really cool. You probably don't have a great answer for this yet, but even though it's a market-driven kind of system, do you have an ideal forecast range of effort, input to reward? Like amount of hours played for game time. Do you have an ideal?
So we have a couple guys that actually, that is their sole job, is working on that stuff, and they're not here, and I'm sure they could totally nerd out with you on that sort of stuff. I don't know the plans, frankly, yet, but we want to make sure it's not something that,
We have an idea, but we actually just picked up an economist who's going to be working with us too, because that is the topic of conversation at work, is how to make it affordable.
Thanks. And we know it's important information for you, and we're working with the team to create some developer updates that we'll post on our website to keep you apprised of sort of how we're building that system and supporting it.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Just one. I guess my main question was really more based upon the city, with your own capital city, and I guess its point within the game, because what we've seen so far is, you can already craft things at your housing plot, you have a bank at your housing plot. Why am I going to be going to my capital city in Wildstar? Because that's where I do a lot of my socializing in the game.
Sure. Mike, perhaps you can go into a little bit of this.
Again, trying to go into how much I can go into without saying things I'm not supposed to say. So, you will have access on your house to services, certain services, and then those services will be.
This panel's taking a turn.
Just got blue.
So when you get serviced on your house,
This is being recorded.
Yikes.
let's just say fees, things of that nature that will take place in the
For the servicing.
for the services rendered.
Services rendered,
will be
yeah.
cheaper. Everything will always be cheaper there in the city. And we don't want to force you to do housing. Like I said, again, it's play the way you want to play. If you don't want to do housing, you never have to step foot into housing. So we have the cities available for that. But there's a lot of, again, guild management stuff, a lot of holiday situations that will be going on there that we, have
There
already
will be
kind of-
incentives that will encourage you to leave your home.
There's also like PAX. There's also things like ship hand missions in those areas and things that you can't do.
Yeah, there's things that you
anywhere else.
can't do that we have in the cities, and we should probably do one of these on just on the cities.
Well, one thing we can talk about, though, is you can't get everything for your house. You have to make choices, right?
Yeah. You only have you have a limited number of plugs, so you might want to go with a whole kind of Farmville farming theme and have all the farming crap. And I'm not a farmer, but to me, I would I'm not going to put the bank down. I'm not going to put any of that auction house stuff because I'm going to go to the city to do that because I'm going to put in animal pens and things of that nature on my plot. So, yeah, for sure.
Hope that answers your question.
So, I see you have a selection of abilities at the bottom of your screen, like it's pretty much goes with every MMO, but are we going to be swapping in and out abilities as we get them, or are we going to have massive ability bars where we have access to all of our abilities and need a hotkey all of them?
So that ability bar you're seeing there is our limited action set. That's all the abilities you're going to get, and that you'll be able to put up on the screen at one point in time. If you could pull up the. Okay. And that's your set builder, so you'll be able to build different sets, and you'll be able to rotate through them outside of combat. But the idea is we want you to take that set, like you might have a PvP set or PvE set, but these things are, it's a limited action set so that you can really make hard choices. It's not like I'm going to have a bar with 25 things to do. I mean, I'm not going to name names, but I've played MMOs of late where, you had 30 abilities on a bar. I didn't even know what half of them did. I just pushed them when they lit up, hope for the best. So, this is more my speed.
Speaking of speed, we should pick up the pace.
All right. Yes. So, next.
Thank you for the question.
So this question might be a little trivial compared to the other things that have been said, but I saw a early beta version of the character customization thing for when you first build your character. I saw things like facial bones, skin color. Are there any other things that you can do to customize your character?
Well, in character creation specifically, we try to pick everything out we could do for each race. Like the Orin, you could pick different ears. Draken, different horns. Makari have like mechanical attachments. Mordash have cybernetics.
You do the little Cyclops eye.
Yeah, and so like we try to make. What we try to do is because we have that bone scaling for the faces, that we try to make each face that you choose very, very unique from one another. So you can't with the bone scaling. It's not like in a lot of games you get one face and then you could modify that face, and it's really hard to get very definitive features by doing that. So we offer different faces with different definitive features that you could then modify. We have skin colors, eye colors, hair colors, like you name it, we probably have it in the character creation. We also have a lot of ways that you could customize your character outside of character creation. Like, we consider housing a form of customization. And we have actually customization in other features in the game that we haven't gone into yet.
Can we talk about?
Did we talk about?
Can we talk about?
You can't ask them, dude. You can't.
Hey guys, can we talk about the thing you're not supposed to know about?
So, I'll talk really quick. So we have a complete dye system on all the armor in the game. So you could dye any piece of armor. You could dye any piece of armor. I think there's 3 areas that you could dye it. So that offered a lot. We have a costuming system that you could, as long as you're not in a PvP situation, you could just look how you want to look, basically. If you want to wear, your skivvies in a 40-man raid, you could do it.
Pretty much, but it still conveys, the armor still conveys anything you ever get and unlock, you can use as a costume piece.
Right.
So if you want to be like, oh man, I like that trench coat I got at level 5, but it's, I'm level 50, I can make the costume be what I want and still have all the stats and the items.
And I think our executive producer just talked about this one, so I think I'm safe here. Our mounts will actually have customization pieces that you could find in the world, and you could attach them onto your mount on the sides, on the front, and the back, and it's really exciting.
Well, it's also very sweet because now I get to have a dinosaur with laser guns attached to the side.
You could put... True story. True story.
Dino lasers!
That's freaking awesome. Hey, I'm sorry. Yeah, next question.
I got a couple questions regarding the cred system. And the first, most prevalent one is that I know that for the cred system, you're making it so that players can can sell their game time to other players. And I'm kind of concerned that players are going to charge an obscene amount of money. I'm wondering if there's going to be any kind of regulation for the creds, because I'm just really worried that I'm going to get into the game, and if I don't want to do the subscription thing, that I'm going to either need to play for about 40 hours in order to earn my next month of game.
I hate to refer us back to our previous answer on this, and that is that we understand that people are concerned about that, and we definitely have people in our office that are evaluating what those knobs and those dials are that we'll need to be paying attention to when we're talking about a free market. It's a very heady bit of complex math, and what we're doing right now is working on making sure we communicate how we're going to adjust those things, how we're going to protect players so that they can actually enjoy and pay the way they want to play, or play the way they want to pay, however you want to slice that. So I encourage you to keep your eyes on our site. We're going to be doing some updates here fairly shortly, and updating our frequently asked questions on a regular basis so that we can kind of figure out what your concerns are and then find ways to resolve them through our design process.
But keep in mind that the question you asked is a question that we have been discussing.
Okay. And the other part of it is, what exactly led to the choice to go to a subscription model when there's a lot of other MMOs that are offering free-to-play and other MMOs that have transferred from subscription to free-to-play, saying like 170% profit margins and things like that. What led to the decision for a subscription model?
So, there are also other systems where it is still subscription. There's also, really what we tried to do is have something that would be a mix for both, right? We wanted to have something like the hardcore that play the game. We wanted to reward them and say, you know what, you've been working hard in the game, you can play for free. But at the same time, we're a AAA product. We wanted to make sure that we had something that would not nickel and dime you and that sort of thing when you do the free-to-play edge of things. But, we have Elder Scrolls just went subscription just completely. We have Final Fantasy, I think, is subscription.
For us, I think a lot of it weighed on the fact that we want to keep putting out content. And if you want to put out a zone's worth of content, you need
but
people
at the
making
same time, the game Guild Wars 2 is now going on a 2-week release schedule of content, and they essentially just go $60 and then cash shop. They don't have a subscription model, but they are now doing a release schedule of every 2 weeks, big content release, new areas, events, and things like that.
We're also starting out brand new.
Yeah,
They also had a very long history of doing this sort of thing, and we're a brand new IP.
And they're just a different, they're just managing a different sort of subscription kind of model. They are. I think the important thing is we were looking for a way to make sure that people who were looking to not pay a subscription would be able to do that, and people who are like, I really want to subscribe to a AAA MMO, that we provided that for them as well. So,
And you know, like,
one of the things to remember is that it's a very divisive kind of situation because there are people who really enjoy free-to-play games and they want to be able to kind of casually engage in those. And so we wanted to provide an opportunity for that to happen. So we're not saying that we love subs over free-to-play. We're saying we love all of you and want you to join us. So there you go.
all right, cool. Thanks, man. It's really enthusiastic.
Hello again.
Hi.
I had a couple of questions about classes. I wanted to know if you guys were going to try to sort of keep to the Holy Trinity kind of thing, or like have options within classes. It could be like a Healy, like Striker, Stalker, whatever, or something like that.
Yes on the Holy Trinity, and but I would say that every class we have has a certain amount of utility to them. Like you don't, a spell slinger has a viable healing build. Like there's definitely, you don't have to just be the healer, right? You have different options, but we're definitely sticking to the Holy Trinity of.
And even within that, like, if you want to be a certain type of tank, you know, you can spec your abilities.
Well, yeah, I prefer, you know, I don't really care about doing a lot of DPS. I don't really care about taking a lot of damage. I like our warrior has a lot of crowd control, and I like to just, you know, kind of battlefield command, leap in there, kick people, stun them, tether them to the ground while everybody else beats on them, then move on to the next thing. It's a lot of.
Yeah.
What's that?
Smack weapons out of their hand.
Yeah. But I'm not. Yeah, I'm just looking to control. You know, kind of like an old school enchanter or something like that, where you can just get in there and mez people and do things of that. You know, do all kinds of wrong things to them.
And you got to follow up.
Okay, and I wanted to know, you guys have 2 coming soon classes on your website. Are you going to say anything about that before the game comes out, or is that going to be?
Before the game comes out, yes.
Yeah, it'll be soon, TM.
I've been playing it nonstop for the last 3 weeks. It's pretty awesome.
And I really like your the 8 skill thing on the bar or whatever. It's much better than having like 30.
It makes you make choices, and since like 95% of your abilities are all, telegraph-based kind of content. Oh, just a little tidbit, just because somebody asked me this walking in here, and I mentioned it was actually pretty interesting. You can turn telegraphs off. If you just don't want to have telegraphs, and you're like, I just want to see because the creatures still, you know, like, I'm going to punch you in the jaw, and they spin their hand. And if you want to just play it even a little bit more hardcore, you can just turn it off.
I'm going to add to that as well, just because we get this question quite a bit throughout the show and through social media. Telegraph system will also be adjustable so that if you are colorblind or having any difficult time tracking those, you can adjust them to a field of color that is more suitable for your playstyle.
Thank you.
Also, I'd like to point out for people asking questions, Chad Moore, beautiful man right here, can answer anything about lore. It's like 5% of the people here are like, oh, cool, lore. Thanks, Chad. All right.
I love you so much.
You got a fan.
How did the Rousdower get to the planet?
Yeah, bro. How did that work?
How did that work? Sorry.
They're just goats, huh?
I'm a nerd.
Goats. Space goats.
Space goats.
Yeah.
All right,
Awesome.
couple more questions.
Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hi, I just want to start off by saying that there's a lot of people that are very happy about the subscription, like very happy, like take our money. You know what I mean?
And I have every intention of it.
We really want your money.
So, 2 quick questions.
Wait, were you making it rain right there? Is that what you were doing? You went like this? All right, sorry, I just want to clarify.
I work for you. Okay, now, the first question, guild housing. What, is it going to be just like our house?
What's your second question?
So,
guild housing.
What's your second question?
Yeah. We
have nothing to say.
Have nothing to say on the subject. Sorry. Well,
Very
how about
conveniently,
this?
there's an enforcer gesticulating wildly about how much time we have left.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're thinking about it. How about that? Okay.
Second question, BOAs. How is that going to work? You know, with your second, third, fourth characters, what do our alts get that our main characters have already?
It's a different path.
Should I just sit down?
No, really good questions.
You're asking
honestly.
tough questions.
You're
I
asking
like
the tough ones. You're asking the tough ones.
Come on, Mike. What you got?
I lift.
You mean like, so I get the cap and then I'm going to level an alt kind of thing?
I mean, the BOAs, like in general, experience like boost or mounts or items, certain things in your house? Do you get the house? Does your alt get to come stay at your
Yeah,
house,
yeah,
in a spare room, and
Yep.
get all the same stuff?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the mounts, yes, BOA mounts and gear. Okay.
You get more lore too.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. So first off, I just want to be completely honest. I'm not really that interested in Wildstar. I just came here because my friend wanted me to. But after seeing some of this cool housing stuff, it looks pretty nice, actually.
Oh, nice.
So my question is, one thing that drives me away from most games, most MMOs, is a really boring middle game, because there's really nice beginning games to sort of drive people in, and then you guys are talking about the Elder game, which is like the big raids and all the huge content, but most games just have a really boring and grindy middle game. So I wanted to know, how are you guys going to handle that and make that part of the game enjoyable too?
Well, again, I don't want to point fingers at other MMOs. I've worked on several, but yeah, it's again when you're designing with the idea that there needs to be a certain amount of time, and then the middle just gets that, you polish the crap out of the front and you polish the crap out of the back, but the middle kind of gets, it's the redheaded stepchild. I apologize to anyone here who's redheaded. But the idea is we didn't design it like that. We designed it with some width to it, so it's not like it's got to take this long. We have tons and tons and tons of things to do all the way through to cap, and we want you to kind of just meander through and do all this stuff.
And
but we're not trying to stop you from getting there, so we don't try to slow you down in the middle. So I think it's about equally fun across the whole deal.
And you can play middle content on the floor right now.
Yeah,
If you stop by the booth, play White Veil. That's
642,
an example.
fourth floor.
Yeah, 642, fourth floor. Hey, by the way, I think we're out of time.
Are we out of time?
I think we are. We're out of time. I'll tell you what, though, guys.
Come on,
wait, hold on.
Pax.
I'm trying. It says time back there, so I have to cut it. But
I
I'll tell
can't
you
see
what.
it, it's too bright.
We're having a party tonight.
Yes, we are having a party tonight.
You guys should
All right.
come.
So 7 o'clock, 7 to 11, we'll give you each 2 drinks. We'll buy them for you. We'll give you 2 cocktails.
If you're 21. If you're 21.
In addition to that, the party will be running from 7 to 11. We're going to have all the developers there, so you can ask us all kinds of questions, and we'll lie. And we're also giving away prizes. We're going to do some hands-on gameplay. We're going to do a ton of stuff. We've got the entire building, and we want to fill it with all of you people. So even if you're not quite sold, come and grill us. Like, there's a ton more information to share.
Hard Rock Cafe.
Oh, I didn't say that part. Hard Rock Cafe, yeah.
So hang out. What time is it at?
And Chad Moore will be
7
there
o'clock.
dropping the lore, getting it all up in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the
right,
drunker
man.
you get Chad, the more secrets he tells.
So yeah, thank you guys.
Hey,
Come
thank
see
you,
us.
everybody.
Go to the booth.